Hey everyone, welcome back to the Star Wars Library. Today we get to talk about another novel, and it's still in 1996, and it's by Christine Catherine Rush. Rush, I think is how you pronounce it. Anyways, this is called The New Rebellion. This is a New Republic novel. Um, and it is the kind of the backstory or a little bit more on Brachus from the Young Jedi Knight series. We get more of a little bit more detail of him actually going to the dark side. So to me, it's pretty interesting. So Kularia, I think is how you pronounce it, is a dark Jedi, basically attempting to bring down the New Republic and the New Jedi Order. I mean, kind of something we've seen before in this era. Um, so there's a bombing on the floor of the Senate that ends up killing a lot of people. I think it's a couple thousand, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering it correctly. So the evidence basically points to it being someone who is close to the Jedi. It might not be a Jedi, but someone who's actually close to the Order. So when Luke hears this, Luke Skywalker, he ends up going to find or talking to Brachus, who is one of the more recent students to leave the Jedi Order. And basically, he finds out that Brachus has in fact turned to the dark side and is working with Queller. Gosh, some of these names, man. But and so it's a and it's in Queller is kind of this guy or this dark Jedi who, by when reading this, the author did a really good job, I think, of really showing me how creepy he is and how kind of disturbing and but he's also a little philosophical and you would buy the fact that Brachus would be drawn to him, would be would want to be drawn into this whole thing. And so to me it I really bought it, and it really is it's a very it's a very epic novel, and it was one that um, I didn't think I would like as much as I did, but it was one where I'm like, I remember the first time I read this, I flew through this. This was a little bit of a later EU book for me, but I flew through it, and really, really enjoyed it. It was a great read. I had a blast doing it, and so I really enjoyed the New Rebellion. So it's kind of cool too because in the New Republic era or the Bantam era, I feel like it was always most of what they put out were trilogies or duologies. It was mostly trilogies, I think. Um, Very rarely, I feel like, would you get like a standalone novel. Obviously, the three that come to my mind are the Shadows of the Empire, Truce of Bakura, and then this one, The New Rebellion. Most everything was a trilogy. The Black Fleet Crisis trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy, the Corellian trilogy, um, all these different things. And so, it was kind of cool, for me as a reader to go, oh, it's just a standalone novel. This is great. That's cool. That's interesting. And so for me, it was a kind of a cool thing. There are references, of course. We get stuff to the Eye of Palpatine, and stuff relating back to the Callistia or the Callista trilogy, which I guess that was an unofficial trilogy, but regardless, getting references to that and stuff. So it's always cool to find those connections in the EU. So is the New Rebellion an essential read overall? I don't think so. I'm not saying it's bad, and I'm not saying you shouldn't read it, obviously. But, for me, as someone who grew up and was introduced to the Expanded Universe with the Young Jedi Knight series, I was able to grasp, okay, Brachus was obviously a former student of Luke's. He left the Order, turned to the dark side, and now he's gone rogue. He's creating his own dark side academy, and then he goes in. But then again, that's just the first arc of Young Jedi Knights, and then there were two more, you know, arcs in the series that you had to consider. So for me, reading this after all that time, I didn't feel as though there was enough of Brachus's or enough that was put into Brachus's backstory that made me go, oh, this is essential to understand before you go and do Young Jedi Knights. It's good. I mean, it gives you stuff, and it gives you perspective. It gives you motive, or motivation, or you actually get to see that instead of just hearing about it in Young Jedi Knights. And so again, it's not a bad book. It's a good read. There's a lot of action. There's good dialogue, of course, between all the characters. But do I think it's obviously an essential part of your EU reading? I would say no, but definitely I would consider reading it, because again, I read it very, very late, but I had a blast reading it. So I do recommend The New Rebellion. So anyways, folks, that's all the time I have. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you next time with another video.